All right, today we're going to break down a topic that's way more common than you might think: the abdominal hernia. Millions of people have one, but there's a lot of confusion out there about what it is and, more importantly, what to do about it. So let's clear things up. So, how does this all start? Well, it's often with something just like this. You notice a weird little bulge in your stomach or groin area. Maybe it pops out when you cough or lift something, and then disappears when you lie down. It might not even hurt, maybe just a dull ache. That right there, that's your body's first signal that something's up. So to really get what's going on, we gotta start with the absolute basics. What in the world is a hernia, and why does it even happen? Okay, at its core, it's pretty simple. A hernia is basically a hole. I want you to think of your abdominal wall like a car tire. And sometimes the inner tube, which is like your intestine or other tissue, pokes through a weak spot in that tire. That bulge you see, that's the inner tube poking through. It's a structural problem. And they can happen in a few different places. This shows the most common spots. The big one is the inguinal hernia, down in the groin area. That accounts for about 75% of all cases. Then you've got umbilical hernias, right around the belly button, and incisional hernias, which, as the name suggests, pop up at the site of an old surgery scar where the muscle is weaker. When everything is working right, your abdominal wall is a total powerhouse. I mean, look at it. It's this complex, multi-layered shield of muscle and tough tissue. Its whole job is to keep all your internal organs safely contained and protected. But if a weak spot develops in that shield, either because you were born with it or it formed over time from strain, well, that's when you have a problem. This cross-section shows it perfectly. See that gap in the muscle layers? That's the hole. It creates an escape route for whatever is inside to push its way out. So just how common are we talking? Well, get this. Up to 27% of men will get a groin hernia in their lifetime. For women, it's lower, around 3%, but still, this is not some rare, obscure condition. It's a really significant health issue, and that's exactly why we're talking about it.
Now, this brings us to probably the single biggest myth about hernias. It's so tempting to think, okay, my abdominal wall is weak, so I'll just hit the gym and do a bunch of sit-ups. But when you have a hernia, that way of thinking is not just wrong, it can actually make things worse.
Let's be crystal clear on this. No amount of ab exercises, crunches, or planks is going to fix a hernia. It just won't work. It's a complete misunderstanding of what the actual problem is.
And hey, that's not just my opinion. Medical groups all over the world, like the Brazilian Society of Hernia, are all in agreement. The only way to truly and effectively fix a hernia is with surgery. Period. There's no magic pill or workout routine that can close that hole. And here's the why behind it, and it's so important to get this. A hernia isn't just a flabby muscle. It's a physical hole, an opening. You can't do sit-ups and expect a hole to just shrink and disappear, right? In fact, doing exercises that crank up the pressure inside your abdomen can actually force more tissue through that opening, making your symptoms way worse. So if exercise is out, what is the answer? Let's take a look at the real solution, which is modern surgery. And it's probably not as scary as you might think. Okay, so you've basically got two main routes. There's traditional open surgery, which uses one larger cut right over the hernia. It's been done for a long time. It's very effective. But then you have the minimally invasive options, like laparoscopic or robotic surgery. These use just a few tiny little cuts. The big difference? Recovery. The laparoscopic route usually means you're back on your feet faster with less pain, though it does need general anesthesia. And this is just so cool. This shows you how the laparoscopic method works. The surgeon inserts a tiny camera through one of those small cuts. This gives them a super clear, magnified view from the inside. They can then repair that hole from behind the abdominal wall, which is a really strong and elegant way to fix it. Now here is the real game changer for modern hernia repair: surgical mesh. Instead of just pulling the muscle together and stitching the hole shut, which can create a lot of tension, surgeons place this special, sterile mesh over the area. It acts like a patch or a scaffold. Your own body tissue grows into it, creating this super strong, tension-free repair. This one thing has dramatically lowered the chances of a hernia ever coming back. Okay, so the surgery's done. The hole is patched, but you're not quite at the finish line yet. What you do after the operation is just as important for a great result. Let's talk about recovery. Those first few weeks are absolutely key.
Of course, you need to rest, but you also need to get up and move. Gentle walking is fantastic for circulation. But here is the golden rule, the most important thing: no heavy lifting for at least 6 weeks. You have to give that mesh time to fuse with your tissue and build a solid repair. Straining too soon is a recipe for trouble.
You know, you can also eat your way to a better recovery. Think of food as your healing toolkit. Protein from things like chicken and fish provides the building blocks to repair tissue. Vitamin C and zinc help speed up wound healing. And this one is huge: fiber and water. Why? Because they prevent constipation, and the last thing you want to be doing after hernia surgery is straining on the toilet. And finally, let's talk about the long game. Whether you want to avoid getting a hernia in the first place, or you want to make sure one never comes back, there are things you can do to really stack the deck in your favor. When you boil it all down, prevention is all about one thing: managing the pressure inside your abdomen. Keeping a healthy weight means less constant strain. A high-fiber diet means no straining in the bathroom. If you smoke, quitting can get rid of a chronic cough. And learning to lift with your legs, not your gut, that is just crucial. It's all about making smarter choices to protect your abdominal wall. Look, at the end of the day, a hernia is your body sending a very clear message. It's a signal that there's a structural issue that needs to be addressed. Just ignoring it or trying to push through the discomfort won't make it go away. The single most important thing you can do is recognize that signal. So I'll leave you with this. Is your body trying to tell you something, and are you listening?